Good morning and welcome to today's Making It Together live educational session. I'm Josh Ellsworth and broadcasting to you live here from Uniontown, Pennsylvania. And this is day 12 of our session. So we've been broadcasting since about mid-March, and we've committed to all the way to the end of March, which is today. But the good news is we're going to be keeping these sessions going into April, just changing up the schedule a little bit on you. So I'll share a little bit of what that will look like moving forward. So if you're watching live today, please shout out where you're watching from. And I'm anxious to hear if anybody's been to all 12 educational sessions. That would be pretty cool. I know many of you are watching them back, but if you've attended all 12 live, make sure you shout out that you've done that. And Craig, good to see you from Washington this morning. It looks like we still have many people logging on to join us live. We have our team standing by to answer questions within the chat. So if you do have questions today, make sure you type them in. And Mike, thank you very much. Attended all 12 educational sessions. So since this was kind of our original commitment was to go through the end of March, and we had hoped that we'd be in a better place than we are today, I wanted to do something a little special for this particular Making It Together. And we are going to do really as many projects as I can fit in. I have a stack of them over here to my left. I'm going to go through some of my favorite products and also some of my questions I get asked the most, some techniques that I get asked the most. And then I'm going to start by really pushing myself and putting some risk in the process, because one of the themes throughout this is encouraging you to try new things while you're working on your business, working on new products. And so I'm going to try something not necessarily new to me, but something with a little bit of risk in it, and hopefully we get some good results. But before we get to all that, let me show you what we created yesterday in our live session. So if you're not a member of the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group, some of you are watching there live now, I would highly encourage you to look that up on Facebook. It's called Heat Press for Profit. That's where thousands of apparel decorators join together, have conversation, share pictures, talk about what's going good in their business, some of the challenges, and it's a great place just to interact with your peers. And so I shared this photo on there yesterday. These were the looks we created. So on the left-hand side, you'll see a multicolor foil look. We got a lot of great feedback from the foil result. So we'll be doing just a little bit more with foil today and showing you how that works again. Up in the top right, you will see a black reflective material. We call it high vis reflective, that is customized on this safety vest. And the cool thing about this is you get the visibility in the daylight when somebody is wearing this, because you get the black on orange instead of silver on orange, little better daylight visibility. And then directly below that, we're showing the reflective result when headlights hit it or a camera flash hits it, whatever source of light there. And then the very bottom right-hand corner is our rainbow based design. And so you get the idea from that. And want to also share, we started our Making It Together Home Edition educational events, which Jenna started yesterday. I want to show you her project because I think it was really cool. And this was completed on just a desktop vinyl cutter. She used the Cricut Explore Air 2 cutter, and she also used CAD Cut Flock 2. And so she showed you how to change the setting within there to a craft foam setting, and that made the weeding experience a nightmare. So again, we're broadcasting live and having all of this together. We are trying new things here and pushing ourselves, but you can also see the completed result. And the idea behind this one is really cool. It's creating a project that kids can do during this time. So whether you have a vinyl cutter and you're trying to keep your own kids busy as they're home during this time and give them a fun project, or you are going to sell coloring shirts online where people can use fabric markers, just the concept and how you can take this is really cool as a fun activity for kids. I tend to think of this when we come out of this thing and it's summer. Think about vacation Bible schools and being able to do shirts like this that can be produced by the hundreds or the 20s or 30s or 50s, depending on how many kids a vacation Bible school week gets or camp week gets, and being able to create these for the art project or something they can do in the room. I think that could be a really fun use. And so Jenna will be broadcasting to you now live on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays moving forward. So she'll be going live tomorrow. That will all be recorded and shared on our Stalls Facebook page as well as in our group. So you'll be able to check that out. And then I'll be coming to you moving forward on Tuesdays and Thursdays with this 1 hour session. And then you can probably count on it that I'll be coming live other times on other days to share projects, or whenever an idea strikes me, we'll make sure we get it out there and share it with you. So again, hopefully you're enjoying this. If you haven't got a chance to fill out the survey yet, we're going to share the link to the survey. It's 4 questions. Once you fill it out, you're entered into our giveaway. And White River Design, I do want to say thank you for the email yesterday, and we'll make sure we get you hooked up on swapping something for that marketing kit giveaway that you won, since you already have purchased a marketing kit. So we appreciate the kind words and you watching all of our content. So with that in mind, I'm going to, the first thing I want to do is, you can't tell, and that's part of the funny thing about video conferencing, is I'm wearing no shoes right now. So I'm just in socks, and I could do that every day and you probably wouldn't figure it out. But I have been getting ready, wearing shoes every day. It just makes me feel some sense of normalcy. But today, the reason I'm not wearing any shoes is because I am going to make my shoes live on air. So I went out into my closet, and I'm a sneaker guy. And so I picked one of my pairs of LeBrons that I like because I wanted to push myself a bit here. And I found one that I can customize. And so I want to show you how to heat print a unique item like a pair of sneakers on a heat press. And so lots of opportunities for this. I've talked to people that have printed the Chuck Taylor shoes. I've talked to people that have printed football cleats, soccer cleats, baseball cleats, those sorts of things with athletic numbering. I've also talked to people who have done a pretty good business in personalized kids shoes. So the shoes that you can decorate on a heat press are unlimited, as long as you have the right tool and the right technique. And so the product that I recommend for shoes, sorry, I'm just laughing at Freddie's comment over at YouTube. I'm making him laugh this morning as I'm not wearing any shoes. The product that I'm going to use today is fashion film, and you can use a bunch of different products for footwear. Fashion film is my favorite, and the reason why: it's super thin. It tends to bond with any type of footwear really nicely. It has a hot peel release on the carrier after you press it, and so it just has a good consistent application to footwear. However, I have seen customers use glitter and flock and all the other materials, but fashion film is my personal favorite and the one I go to the most. And so I'm going to pull up our free online design software, which is called CADWorks. So I'm going to pull that up on the screen over here, and let's take a look at it. So this is cadworkslive.com. If you've attended these sessions, you understand that it is a vector design software that's free to you. All you need to do is go to cadworkslive.com and sign up. So if anybody's using CADWorks out there for their business, if you can just shout out how long you've been using CADWorks and your experience with it, that would be great. What I want to do right now is just add some text, because I like to keep designs pretty basic when I'm doing shoes. So I was trying to think of what I would want on my shoes earlier. And I just want the word hustle, and I'm going to select a font that I want to use for that. And so you can do hashtags, whatever you would want to do. I'm going to go into the athletic font category for these basketball sneakers, and let me find a font that I want to use here. So I want something a little bit thin because I'm going to italicize it or place what's called an envelope on it to give it sort of a speed element to it that I like to think about. So the cool thing about CADWorks is once you type in your text, change the font, you can use the effect stack. And so you can add the effects that you want. And one of the coolest part that I haven't showed yet in these sessions is called the envelope folder. And so these effects can be added to your text. So normally you'd have to go through CorelDRAW training or Illustrator training to figure this out. But I just want sort of an italicized effect. So I'm going to pick this envelope design and click open, and that's going to apply that effect to my text. You can experiment around and you can add multiple envelopes to your text and keep on going. I want something very simple for this, so I'm just going to click OK. And then at that point, of course, I'm going to have to size it down for a shoe. So it's defaulted at 13 by 2.5. I'm going to bring it down to about a 1/2 inch. That's the other nice thing about fashion film, is we can do pretty fine detailed designs. And right now it's sized the width to fit. The real estate on my shoe probably isn't that much, so I'm going to drop that width down. And let's bring it down to about 2 inches to, and you can always take off this proportional sizing and just type in exactly what you want. And then I'm going to duplicate it so I can have it for both shoes and just kind of space them side by side, because that's what I'm going to cut, and be able to run my scissors in between them. Once you are good with your designs, you are going to just output it to Vector Cut. It's another free design software that you can use, or you can export the file and bring it into your own vinyl cutter. But in this case, I do have Vector Cut downloaded, so that's just my cutter driver. I'm going to pull that artwork down. You can see it downloads within Chrome to the bottom toolbar. As we've been doing throughout the week and last week, I will open that and bring it into screen so you guys can see it. And let me just zoom in on it here, and you can see the real estate. So you have scrap material, which I really don't here, but if you have scrap material that you've been saving, this is really cool to be able to do these types of super small applications and cut scraps on your vinyl cutter. So I have it set up, it's ready to go. I'm ready to send the job over, but I need to set up my cutter again. So let's bring it back here, and I'm going to see if I can pull you forward today, bring you up close, get you a little better view of the vinyl cutter, and we will set that up. So the product, the fashion film product that I'm going to be using is the electric. The electric's really cool because it has this sort of metallic sheen to it. This is, I forget the exact color, but it's like a frosted blue color that looks like it'd be great for like snowflakes for a winter design. I like this product because I think it's going to make a nice complementing color to my navy and tan shoe. I didn't have a tan color that would match this exactly, so I didn't want to try to match and be off. So I'm going to go with a complementing color. So I'm going to load this sheet of material into the cutter, pull the pinch rollers over to lock down on the edge of the material. Lock down the rollers in the back and tell the material to find the front edge. Normally, if I was cutting a piece, I would tell it that I have a sheet loaded, but because I'm only doing a very small design, having the cutter just identify the front edge is going to be good enough for me. At that point, like we've been doing throughout the week, I'm going to make sure my downforce is correct. I was cutting on 26 yesterday because we were cutting a, what was it, a reflective material, and so I'm not going to need that much force for cutting this product. It's quite a bit thinner. So let me go down to, let's say 13, which is half of it. And let's give that a test cut and a try. So I have my weeding tool here, pull back out. And after that's been cut, I'm just going to take the weeding tool, make sure my blade depth is good. It's a good guess today. It's not scoring the material. It's cut everything cleanly, the square with the triangle out of it. And now I'm just going to go ahead and set my cutter up where I want it to start cutting, and then send my design. So I'm just going to move the blade slightly to the side, press and hold origin so it has a good spot to start cutting. And then I'm going to switch back over so you can see both views here. Over in Vector Cut, I'm going to click Send Cut Job. It's that easy. And then you will see the cutter start to work. And it will cut this design really quick because it's all text-based, pretty simple vector object. And hopefully I've guessed the right size. Probably should have measured it, but took a good guess here, and we'll see if it works. Okay, once it's been cut, I'm going to advance the material out. I'm going to use my blade to slice off the material. Use my scissors to trim it up. That way I have just the designs that I want. And then I'm going to complete the weeding process. So I'm just going to take my weeding tool and start the corner here off camera, just so I can get a good hold on it. And then I will hold it in front of the camera. This is pretty easy to weed. This is Fashion Film Electric. So I'm just peeling away the excess. And again, slow and steady wins the race when you're weeding, causes less breaking. So just follow it around. And then grab all of the center designs out of there. If I have something that kind of got caught, I'll just take my weeding tool, pick it out of the center, and then make sure I remove the outside edge. So we'll see, this might be a little big, but we're going to give it a shot and see if it fits. Worst case, I go back to the cutter and have to just cut another one. But let's trim these apart and get you a better angle over at the heat press. All right, I'm going to lay these on my table. Let's move you over here. And I have my 16 by 20 automatic open heat press. It's the Hotronix Auto Clam. And let's talk about the tools you need for the job. First, and most importantly, is the right platen. This lower piece, we call it a platen. On the Hotronix presses, they're very easy to swap out. And what I like to say, as long as it's open, and what I like to say, the Hotronix press prints more items than any other press on the market accurately. So if you're looking to expand what you sell, rather than just having a press that sits flat on the table, you can get a Hotronix. It has this interchangeable base system where I can load something like the shoe platen. I'll give you a better view of the shoe platen. Here's what that looks like. So I can drop that right into place, or whatever attachment I need. We'll be using several throughout today. Lock in the clamp, and then I am ready to load. Also, this is open underneath, so your item can hang beneath, and that's a great benefit. So I'm going to start just by loading my shoes on. All you want to do is just kind of finagle them on here, and they just hold there into position. So it's really not as complicated as it may seem. You just load it on. Certain shoes, if they're large sizes and want to hang off, you may have to pull the laces to hold them into place. These are size 11, so they're going to be just fine and fit perfect on there. If you have really small shoes as well, they should be able to fit on here. But in the case that you're specializing in children's shoes, you may want to contact our team and order a custom shoe platen that's smaller instead of the standard size. So once this is set up, really I want to lock in my pressure. This is the main tool for the job that you're going to need. It's called a flexible application pad. This one got ripped in half, but it's the only one I had access to, and it's large enough for what we need to do. But even when I'm figuring out my pressure, I'm going to make sure my shoes that are going to come in contact with the heater are completely covered. And now I'm going to lock it down and just kind of get a feel for my pressure. You'll need a little bit more pressure on shoes because you're fighting through a lot of seam structure to be able to get pressure on your item. So I'm up at an 8 on the pressure. And that also serves to preheat both my pad and the shoes that are loaded on. At that point, I'm going to take the designs that we've just cut and weeded, and I am going to position them where I'd like on each shoe. So in this case, I have a nice print location here. I'll position them down onto. I'm not going to hug like the really crazy foam and seam structure of the shoe where the laces and everything are, because I don't want to, if you get like so far buried underneath like something that's very raised up, you're not going to get good pressure there. And so that's the biggest risk when you're customizing shoes, is the placement of your graphic and getting good pressure. But so I had a nice area that I can customize. You can typically do the whole side of the shoe if you don't have any restrictions to your pressure. And then I'm going to gently cover it with this pad. And then at that point, when you add the pad on, you need to add at least 10 seconds to your heat application time. So fashion film usually applies down for like 15 seconds at 320 degrees. So I'm still at the 320 degrees, but I need to go up to 25 seconds. And so let me get to my time. I'm going to take it up to 25 seconds, and then I'm going to lock the press down. So this is the process where you're just waiting to get ready. So I'd say if you're doing a bunch of shoes, you can start getting the next pair ready in weeding. You can customize soft leathers like faux leather shoes. I have a company that does a ton of soccer cleats. And they offer the customization for free just to move their cleats, which is a really high margin item. After it's been completed, I'm just going to remove the pad from it. And then I'm going to start to peel the backing. Now, depending on the fabric that you're applying to, it may be a hot or a cold peel. So I'm going to try to peel this hot, and it looks like this one is a hot peel, which is a great result. And then that's my finished result. So it's tough to see that color with the light, but it looks really cool. And let me peel the next one. Now, once it's completed, you can always heat apply again, but we have a great result here. It's very simple. You can load these platens on any Hotronix press with the interchangeable bases. Now, one thing I usually like to do is texturize it afterwards so it blends in a little bit more. So it's on there. It didn't lift at the edges at all. I feel really confident in the durability, but this pad actually has a textured side to it, if you can see that. And I think that just helps to blend it a lot better into the item that you're printing when you're printing footwear. So I love to be able to press this just for an extra 5-10 seconds is enough to get the heat through it and to really just create a nice texture to your print. And we'll see if you can see that through the camera. It's very tough to see here, but it just blends in to your shoe a lot better. So very cost effective. That material was a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. So 1 square inch of material costs about a penny in material. And at the end of it, we've added value to an item with being able to customize. So consider what you can do. So I'm going to go ahead and get my shoes on for the rest of the presentation here. And then I'm going to move to something we talked about yesterday, which was rhinestones that we didn't get to the finished application on. So I'm going to swap this platen back out. We do custom rhinestones designs from our Transfer Express division. I'm going to be pressing, I believe it's a youth large t-shirt. So I'm going to load the 11 by 15 attachment on. Lock it into place, and I'll show you what we're doing here. So this is a rhinestone transfer. It's been purchased from Transfer Express, transferexpress.com, and comes to you just ready to heat apply. Now with rhinestones, you have to be a little bit careful that you're not very rough with the transfer because you will lose the stones off of the carrier. So I always recommend being careful there. I've loaded the 11 by 15 platen so I can fit my shirt on it. This wouldn't fit very well over the 16 by 20 attachment. And again, when you are decorating, you need to consider not only the platen, but the design size, making sure that the shirt fits on the platen and the design fits on the platen, not just on the shirt, because we don't want it to exceed my pressing area. Anytime you're printing something like rhinestones, I recommend a really long preheat. You probably want to do that without the shirt on, so you're not scorching the shirt at all if there's any polyester in it. So in this case, I'm going to preheat the base for about 15 to 20 seconds. And that preheat is going to really just warm the base. That way, when you're pressing something thick and dimensional like a rhinestone, you're going to get the heat not only flowing from the top, but underneath the item to get really good adhesion. So when you're pressing rhinestones, if you press the first shirt on a cold base of the press, you're probably not going to get very good adhesion. So our rhinestones, when you order from Transfer Express, apply at 325, a medium pressure, 12 seconds, and a cold peel. I like to split the shirt on. And you can see I'm kind of feeling it. Anytime I'm working on a smaller platen, I kind of hold the shirt out to make sure that I have it even. I still need to preheat the shirt just for a few seconds. And then I need to adjust my time down to that 12 seconds. I'll carefully remove the transfer or the backer from the transfer. Again, you want to be careful and kind of remove the backer nice and evenly and smoothly. That way, if you do see a rhinestone peeling up or loose, you can position it back into place. So I'll carefully remove that. And we do inspect these all before they go out the door to make sure the rhinestones are in the right place. If you've made them yourself, you know that can be a pain. And now it's clear. I'm just going to position it down. Really on this, you want to make sure you're not sliding it after it's been positioned because those rhinestones are warming up and they could hold to the shirt and then move and it becomes a nightmare. After that, I'm going to guess that I need a cover sheet on this. I don't have the instructions right in front of me to know, but I think a cover sheet is a good idea with rhinestones in my experience. And then we will just heat apply it. Again, we want a nice medium pressure. On rhinestones, I always say err on the side of firmer, side of medium. So on a Hotronix press, that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of a 6 or a 7. You can see the stones really easy to apply. And again, this is a cold peel. So I'm going to delicately move the shirt from the press. Once it cools down, I'll remove the backing as well. Okay, I'm going to look in to see if there's any questions. And while I'm doing that, I'm waiting for my shirt to cool down. All right. So it looks like there's been lots of communication. Great. So from England, I get the question on YouTube. It says, right now I use DTG and Plastisol transfers for t-shirts. I got some of the premium and the sports film samples and was quite impressed. Is the sports film the thinnest, softest vinyl option available? And so for those of us in the US, we do name things different in England versus the US. So if you're watching from England, I would say the premium product is one of the softest vinyl options available. That would be like an equivalent to our Premium Plus here in the US market. So yeah, I'd say that's the softest. It's also one of the stretchiest materials we have. So it's going to work great for your performance fabrics as well. If I'm looking back through the questions, it looks like we're sharing the rhinestone application instructions. I love this one. So Brian says, I haven't used my Graphtec for apparel yet because I don't have a heat press, but that stimulus check should be coming soon. And yeah, so we're counting on that as well. Is a lot of folks that want to diversify their business and get into new markets will be looking at heat presses. So Brian, I'm sure you're aware we're here to help once you're ready to take that jump and get that check. Let's see, what brand of shoe of that? Yeah, these were LeBron's, Michael, Nike. And I got the Fusion. Maria says I got the Fusion because I can also do sublimation, but both are great products. So yeah, so the Fusion is great for sublimation. And just to dispel a rumor is sometimes people think you can't do sublimation on a clamshell press. The Stahl's presses actually have a patented feature that's this over center pressure adjustment. Most other presses, you'll see the adjustment in the back. And then we also have a feature that's this upper floating platen. And so the idea behind our clamshell presses is that they actually level out before they lock down, which allows you to get nice, flat, even pressure, even on thicker items like a plaque or a mouse pad or a keychain, something you would want to sublimate. The only thing you have to watch for with sublimation is the auto open effect of the clam, because sometimes when that auto opens, it can move the paper and cause ghosting to occur. So there's two ways to address that. One, just hold your hand on the press and don't let it auto open, so you're breaking the seal after it opens. The other option is buy the tacky sublimation paper, which is a certain style that develops a little tack to it when it's heated, and that holds it into place. You can still use that auto open effect. All right, and so let's see. I think we have most of the questions answered. And so Freddie just, I think, had the original question, do you recommend the Fusion or the Auto Clam? I bought the Clam. This is my personal heat press because of a space limitation. I was working in my garage. It's been great for me. I've had it since 2016 and I've pressed a ton of stuff on it. But when I'm in the office, I also use the Fusion a lot, because the reason I like the Fusion is because this base underneath on the Fusion is just a little narrower. And so sometimes it allows me to get to a pouch on a bag or press a location like a sleeve that I wouldn't be able to do as easy on the Clam. Now, since we've come up with a double sleeve platen for the Clam, so I can do two sleeves at once, but you can't do as large of a print area on that. But we're going to do a pant leg here in a little bit, and I'll show you and talk a little bit more to that point. So we want to thank everybody for watching. So the name of the soccer cleat company, unfortunately, I can't reveal, Dwayne, but I promise that there is a soccer cleat company that does a ton of footwear with fashion film. And last question, Brian says, what speed do you have the cutter set to? Usually when I'm cutting fashion film, I'm not worried. I can go as fast as 50 centimeters per second. The only time you need to bring that speed down, and this will help with another question that came in, is with a stretchy product like Premium Plus. You really want to run those high stretch products at like 20, 30 centimeters per second or less, so you don't get any skipping as the blade's traveling across, especially if you have a dull blade. So appreciate all the questions coming in. Let's go ahead and peel the carrier from our rhinestone design. So I want to peel it like flat from edge to edge. So I'm not trying to hide anything from you, but it's very tough to peel this one in the air. Let's do it here. So you can hold it flat and just remove the backing corner to corner, just like you would peel your transfer. And once it's peeled, then we have our completed result. So really nice, really easy to press rhinestone transfers, and those stay there on there. So again, custom rhinestone transfers are available from Transfer Express. I'm not an expert in teaching people how to make their own rhinestone transfers, but there are many people making rhinestone transfers with their vinyl cutter by cutting the template. But some people don't want to mess with brushing in stones and doing those steps. And so Transfer Express makes it for you. All you have to do is heat apply. So really nice, really easy. All right. Next thing I want to talk about is multicolor design. And so these aren't particularly layered. This is a design that Jenna had created and pre-cut for me. And this says it's basically a split text effect that says Leopards and then West Fremont School District. And so I want to give you some tips about layering as we do this one. I'm going to grab my Port & Company garment. This is just a basic tee from Sanmar. I'm going to talk to you about a couple things here. One is I will load this. Do you see how I did that? I always pull it all the way down to the shoulder structure, and then I pull evenly with both hands until that collar just hangs off of the edge. And that gives me basically a straight line to be able to place my graphic down from the collar. It also gets it completely flat, so I'm not going to have any issues with seams on the press. At that point, I'm going to preheat again. If the color changes on your pink or red shirt and it's cotton, don't worry about it. That color will return to it. And then we're going to place the design. So this is fashion film. Again, it's been cut and weeded. I want to show you how cool this material is for garments. So I'm going to position my design. Going to be able to take my other design. I'm not going to do them at the same time, but I want to hold it up from a placement standpoint to make sure I'm good from the collar. That's the only reason I was doing that. And one of the cool things about our hot peel films like fashion film or glitter flake or premium plus high tack or thermofilm is you can tack, and we recommend you only tack your bottom layers for just a few seconds. What that does, it allows you to peel the backing to line up your next layer of vinyl without any shrinking. So it's really going to help you registering your placement and speed up production. So in this case, I'll just tack it down for a couple seconds. Open the press. And then peel. So you see how nice that hot peel is? It just falls off. Now that's not there to stay at this point. It does need to get the full application, but it's very quick and very easy that way. So if you're doing a 4-color design, I would tack layer 1, 2, and 3, all for about 2 to 3 seconds each, hot peel them. And then when I get to the last layer, whatever the final layer is, that's where I'm going to run the full application. And now this has a clear carrier, so it's nice and easy to line up. And then you're going to want to cover it with a cover sheet anytime you have vinyl exposed directly to the heater. Even though this one is Teflon coated and easy to be clean, it's always a good idea. And then you're going to run the full application for your final layer. So again, this is heat transfer film cut on a vinyl cutter. The Premium Plus is the softest, thinnest vinyl for t-shirts that we have out there. We are working, I believe, with fashion film. I need to verify this top layer is fashion film, and it is. So after it's been applied, you can peel away the backing right away, and I have a completed result. So again, not worrying about that box that you see, because that's typical of a cotton garment that's in the red family, whether it's pink, maroon, or red. And that will be corrected in about an hour when the moisture returns back to the garment. If you're printing at an event, you can buy a product off the shelf. I believe it's sold in Walmart called Magic Sizing Spray, or even mist it with water to return moisture back to the garment quicker to get a good looking result. But we have time, so we wait the hour. So in this case, design is about 12 inches by, I'd say, 4 inches for each layer. So about a little bit less than 50 square inches per layer. So in fashion film, that's going to cost me about, let's see, about $1.25, I would say, with material and waste. But once you add your labor and overhead to that, you're probably going to be at a few dollars to do this design. Cut it, weed it, just heat apply it. So I love mixing and matching products, doing things like these split effects. And I love mixing and matching different finishes. And so this example is a reflective mixed with, I believe, Premium Plus. So I grabbed all these from the office, so I'm guessing by feel and touch. Know that when you order your rolls of vinyl, all materials are labeled. And I saw a comment and someone operating the auto clam from a wheelchair. The Air Fusion is also a great machine from a wheelchair. I have the auto clam at its lowest setting on the caddy right now, which leaves me comfortably in a chair. I just have to kind of reach up a little bit for the handle, but you could, of course, always attach something there to pull the handle a little closer, depending on your reach. But totally comfortable with seeing what I need to do and laying it out at this distance. I'm 6 feet tall. So in this case, I'm going to do the Sophie garment. This is another fashionable cut where it has kind of this effect. I'm not even sure what it's called, but you have this effect on the bottom, and you also have a nice slit in the back, so it adds some style to it. This is something that may do well in the summer or in dance wear. Again, I'm going to load it all. I'm going to retract it back. Make sure I don't have any lint. Some people keep a lint roller nearby. Preheat to remove the moisture and wrinkles. And I'm going to take my design. Now, I'm using the Reflective 2 product. The Reflective 2 is a great material to get the reflective effect without the expense of like the 3M Reflective or the Color Reflective. So Reflective 2 only comes in silver. And again, I can position it, and as long as my backing is a hot peel, I can do that 2 to 3 second hit on the product. And then I can peel the backing while it's hot. Now I can bring in my second layer of the design that's been cut, position it into place. I'm going to show you something here. Sometimes when you position your next layer in place, you see how that carrier is overlapping my reflective material with the positioning that you see right here. That will create an indent from the Mylar carrier. And so what I recommend, anytime you see that, you can take the risk and just do it. But if you really want to do a high quality product, what I would recommend doing is, again, just tacking that second color down for an additional 2 to 3 seconds. So you just get it to temporarily set. Then get rid of that carrier. And this is Premium Plus. It doesn't hot peel quite as easy. Just give it a couple extra seconds. And now I'm going to cover it and complete both together for the full application time. Anytime you are layering and combining vinyls, the rule of thumb is that you want to get the melting point for the vinyl that requires the highest temperature for the most time. So for instance, if I'm pressing a material that takes 300 degrees for 10 seconds, and I'm combining that with the material that takes 330 degrees for 15 seconds, I'm going to run both at the 330 degrees for the full 15 seconds. Typically, a vinyl can withstand an extra 20, 30 degrees, 5 seconds or so, without having any negativity on its performance and its wash durability. But if you don't reach the melting point, you would have a major issue. And that's when you start to risk the vinyl washing off or peeling up or not applying correctly. So again, the reason I did that is to remove the Mylar mark, and we have our completed result, and you're seeing how that reflective really pops out of there. So you can create really nice looking logos by just mixing and matching different finishes. So corporate branding, a lot of small businesses out there, 25 people or less, heat transfer vinyl is a great technology for being able to do low quantity custom apparel. So Rosemary, to answer your question, I think you were asking about the white shirt. That was sourced from Sophie as well. So I get a lot of dance wear from Sophie. That's spelled Soffe. And so you can sign up for a wholesale account there and get it all. Get a bunch of trendier apparel, especially for ladies. So yesterday I talked a little bit about foil. Been talking a lot today. And one of the examples I gave that we got quite a bit of interest on as I start to cool down my heat press was heat applying foil to 100% polyester. Particularly, I gave an example of live printing at an event with sports bras and leggings. And so what I did is I went into my garage, I found the bin that had all of the extras in it and pulled out a sports bra. This is from Sophie as well, 100% polyester with some stretch to it. And then I also grabbed the leggings that we were offered. Again, Sophie as well. They have some nice detailing to them. I believe this is a capri legging, and want to show you how we were customizing at this event. So again, I only took a small press to the event. I think it was a 9x12 heat press or an 11x15. So I'm just going to simulate this with the 11x15 platen so you kind of know how we were set up for the event. And for those of you that saw it yesterday, I explained how I took pre-done designs cut out of the CAD cut adhesive. And so this was cut through our CAD cut templates designer. The dead giveaway is there's holes right here because we are using a laser cutting process when we're cutting in-house to be able to blow out these holes so they fall away and we don't have to weed them. Now, of course, you can't blow out the holes inside of the heart because you have to, otherwise all the polka dots would fall out. But this shows you kind of how we're cutting it from a professional level, and you can just receive this ready to heat apply. And so there were a bunch of choices for the leggings, and there were also a bunch of choices for the sports bra. But I picked a matching set here so we can customize those together with foil. And I wanted to show you a pretty cool color and effect on the foil. So you can't just lay this on here and be able to press it because we have this back to it that gives us a lot of seams that's really going to ruin the look of the foil. So what I did is take your heat printing pillow. You're going to put it inside of the sports bra, and you're going to just lay that sports bra on top of the press. And now when you press it, all the seams are going to sink down in, and it's going to give you a nice pressing area. Typically, when we recommend applying the CAD cut adhesive, we recommend applying the adhesive layer with a very light pressure. This is a roll product you can buy from Stahl's. Cut it, order it from our CAD cut templates, which we share the link, and be able to cut and heat apply it. Now, the challenge with heat applying on something like this when you're using a pillow is pillows typically require more of a firm pressure. So you need to bump what we're recommending be a 1 or a 2 up to a 3 or a 4 just to make sure you get good adhesion. The nice thing is, as I mentioned in another broadcast, polyester is a really forgiving fabric when it comes to heat applying because it's a synthetic fabric, it's man-made, it has a really nice weave to it. It's not like cotton when it comes to doing your foil work. So I'm adjusting my press to be able to handle that pillow that I've added to it. I took my pressure down to a 5 with the pillow in, and I'm going to take my design and I'm going to position it down. Again, keep in mind I'm operating right side up. So in this case, position it down. I have my design ready to just heat apply on. Now the foil goes at 300 degrees, as does the adhesive. The adhesive is going to take about 5 seconds. So I'm just going to press this down for 5 seconds. Give it just a second to cool, and then you can hot peel it away. You can even see like the laser cut lines on the carrier. It's kind of cool to see. And then I'm going to take my foil color of choice. In this case, I'm going to show you something different today. This one has like a scaled effect to it with a rainbow to it. So it's showing, I wanted to try a tonal look here to see how that looks. So many minutes ago, I used my scissors. That's always the toughest thing for me to keep track of other than the weeder. So give me 1 second here. There they are. So I'm just going to trim the foil. It just comes in a roll from Stahl's, or you can buy the foil transfers from Transfer Express. Keep a separate pair of scissors from what you're trimming your sticky CAD cut vinyl with for foil, because otherwise it creates an issue. And so in this case, I just took a strip, and I'm just going to use one part of this strip all the way to the left. Cover it. And again, the foil layer gets a firm pressure. So I'll just do the quarter turn like 4 or 5 times to get to a firm pressure. And then it takes the full 10 seconds for the foil layer. So you can, on 100% polyester, can you repress without getting the shiny finish on the garment was a question that came in. So you want to be careful, of course, when you are heat pressing 100% polyester, and make sure you test your fabric. So this is a fabric I have experience with. I'm not worried about getting scorching on it, even with the seams up on it, but all polyesters are not made equal. So I would recommend you test whatever polyester you have, especially darker colors want to scorch. This does apply at 300 degrees, so it should be a lot more flexible to doing different types of polyester, but I certainly recommend you test that. And again, foil is a complete cold peel, so I'm just going to hold it to the wall to pull some of the heat out of this design so I can peel it. But I thought this would be cool for you just to see another application for the foil product, how easy it is, and really you just follow that same process over and over again. So lock your adhesive down, and then just pick your foil color and customize. It's really holding in the heat quite a bit. Polyester tends to do that. So I'm going to give it just a few seconds. While I do that, I'm going to load up the leggings to press as well. So for those of you without a press with a sleeve platen, this sleeve pillow is awesome. I use this all the time for pant legs and long sleeves like I'm wearing here. It's very nice to be able to hit tough print locations and get rid of your seams. I tend to grab the pillow like this, clear up my arm, because that allows me to provide support when you're loading it. That's one of the toughest things, is loading it in. And then I'm just going to kind of guide it completely through the pant leg to the print location, and then just slide my arm out. That's a nice, quick, and easy way to get the pillow loaded into your item. At that point, you can lay the pillow on your item. Now, one of the toughest part is getting your pants to kind of hold in place and not fall off. So there is a little space here that you can tuck those under to get them to hold. And then I'm going to do the same preheat just to warm that base up. Go back to my light pressure for my other part of my design. Position it down. I do have a seam here that's a guide for me as far as positioning this. And then I'm going to lock it down for the 5 seconds. After the 5 seconds are completed, I'm ready to just give this just a few seconds. And then I'm going to peel away the carrier. Now I just have the adhesive on there, and that's ready to accept whatever foil I want with the firm pressure. So that heat printing pillow is really nice. Makes life a lot easier when you're customizing items. This one has cooled down, so I'll be able to bring that back into frame and show you when I remove the backing. You can see the adhesive sticks to where the print is. And somebody asked this yesterday. Sometimes, and I don't know the reason, you get a little bit of the foil not clearing. It is not stuck on there permanently. It just didn't release great from the carrier. And what I recommend for that is you just want to basically brush it away. That will clean up nice. You just brush it away before you deliver your product for the customer. You don't need to worry about it brushing away from any other parts. And then I have a nice result that's completed. So don't be afraid of that when you don't get a clear edge. The foil, for whatever reason, just didn't release right, but it's not a ruined product by any means. And so now, if I've done my work right, I've taken this same strip that has this design done out of it, and I'll be able to position that, the remaining part of the strip, over the rest of my design. I just rub my hands over it to make contact with it. And again, cover it. And now I'm going to do the firm pressure. All right, so now we're waiting on that to cool down. I'm going to look back for some questions before we get to the last project. So the name of the material for the dance shirt again, please. I know you said it was 2 materials. So this dance shirt, I think, is the one you're asking about. This is the silver that you're seeing reflect there. That's called Reflective 2. And then the Carolina blue color is Premium Plus. It's super soft, super stretchy. Feels like it's almost not even on the shirt. That is by far our softest heat transfer product. However, it brings with it cutting challenges in that it's stretchy, so it's tougher to more difficult to cut. So you want to make sure that you're using a sharp blade when you're cutting Premium Plus. And you also want to make sure that if you have a vinyl cutter that allows you to have an overcut function, that you're utilizing that overcut function when you're cutting Premium Plus. That's why I have no problems cutting it on my professional Graph Tech. For cutting it on a desktop craft cutter, does pretty well too, actually, because you can hold it onto the sticky mat and the material's not puckering when it's cutting. That's the biggest risk. If it puckers when it cuts, or you cut it at too fast of a speed, you get skipping. All right. Yeah, so thanks, Flex. Appreciate that. So if you like what you're seeing here, go ahead and click that like button. That gives us better visibility on YouTube, also on our Facebook groups. It just helps us share it overall. And so if you can click that like button because you're enjoying what you're seeing, that would certainly help us with getting our story out to more people. So I'm going to let that cool down, and I'm going to peel it just here in a second. But the last project that I want to do for you really brings to life something I've been preaching for the last 2 weeks, and that's something called the Lean Logo Formula. And so the Lean Logo Formula, for me, it's a project I'm working on. It's just a simpler way to produce custom apparel. And so we have a lot of customers that have big screen printing presses that have been forced out of their production factory, have had their larger runs canceled. And we see just an overall trend to business trending towards smaller group runs and orders. That's why one of the reasons heat printing's become so popular. And so we've come up with a new product called Stretch Litho Mat, digital screen printed transfers. I've been talking about it all the time now because it is one of my favorite products that we have out because of what it delivers. And one of the concepts I put forward is ganging designs. And so Sue from our Transfer Express division sent me a full box of samples so I could keep doing these. And this was one of the samples in the box that I just loved because it shows perfectly how you can group 2 full front t-shirt designs on this 11.5 by 18 inch sheet. And they don't need to be related at all. And they could be any amount of colors, including photo quality, as we have some different effects, photo effects that are layered in, tough to see, but into this class of 2020. Where it's like a skyline, a night sky in the back with lights. And so that shows you how you can gang up designs. Then all you need to do is be able to trim those designs apart. Once you receive them in, grab your scissors and trim those designs apart, and I'm ready to customize 2 different jobs at a time. So what I tell customers is set your price grid around your quantities. If I can get an order for class of 2020, Mayberry High School, in a quantity of 25, then I can group that with California Rhapsody in quantities of 25 as well. And so then if I set my pricing at 25, 50, 75, 100, now it's very easy for me to group orders without having waste. And so I think it's just a taking control of the orders that you get going out front. And I'm not saying you have to do 25. You can buy stretch litho in as little as 5 sheets or 10 sheets. But once you start to hit the 25 plus quantity, it becomes really cost effective for you to create these results. And so again, I'm going to just load an item and heat press it. This is a Boxercraft garment. It's 80% polyester, 20% cotton. My press should be at 275. I'm up at 300 right now, so let me work on cooling that down while I change out my platen. And stretch litho takes 11 to 15 seconds with a medium to a firm pressure. So I'm going to pull out this 11 by 15 attachment now. Load in the 16 by 20. And then split and thread my shirt onto the press. Again, pulling all the way down to the shoulder structure and then pulling it back. This is more of a scoop neck, so I'm going to place my design a little higher, but I still bring the neckline down off the edge to make sure I have a completely flat pressing area. At that point, I'll need to adjust my pressure per normal. And so if you decide that you're really going to go after heat printing, and I think there's a big case to do that with where things are headed, I would highly, highly recommend that you take a look at an air press for your business for your next heat press investment. And so what the air press will do is it will prevent you from having to change the pressure and guess at it all the time. You punch it into the touchscreen control, and it doesn't care what thickness your platen or your item is. It delivers that pressure onto the item. So screen printed on the back, digital printed on the top. It's called Stretch Litho Mat. Position it into place. This is a product that needs to be covered with a cover sheet. Cover sheet comes in the box usually. I'm just going to use my craft paper that I've been using. And then I'm going to press it down for the 11 to 15 seconds while I take a look at some of your questions. And this should be cool. Doing a lot of work today. We're going to peel this one off. So that's cooled down. And then I'm able to grab the corner and peel it off to get my completed design. So a really nice set, coordinates, colors match. I love the way that looks. It almost looks silver on the black, but you have that rainbow sort of scale effect to it. This will last. This is a highly durable foil product. And yeah, Kat's designs, those heat press pillows are amazing. Makes it so easy to apply designs. The only restriction really on a pillow is that you can't use a pillow on a high pressure design like stretch lithomat, but you can use the pillow for any heat transfer film designs, anything that's medium pressure or less. And so here's another Boxercraft long sleeve tee. I believe this one's 100% cotton, but I'm also going to split this and load it on. Process is the same every time. Preheat, and I'm going to take the other side of that design that's been created, class of 2020, and position that, placing it a little bit lower. And we have placement guides available on the stalls.com website that can help you. Stretch Litho is a product that's from transferexpress.com. And we do offer free samples of the Stretch Litho product. All you need to do is go to the product page over at transferexpress.com. So Patrice, I love heat printing too. It's so simple. It's so easy, and you can create great results. And all you need is a small area in the corner of a bedroom like I'm showing you here, and it's very scalable. So if you want to grow this business and build this business, you don't even need to own all of the heat presses yourself. Just find partners that you can set up with heat presses, maybe folks that want to work from home, because for a lot of people, it's quite enjoyable. And then you're able to just provide them with transfers and shirts, have them decorate on your behalf. So probably, sorry, I got distracted by a question, but probably one of the easiest, least expensive technology sets to get into, and all of the science is in the transfer itself. So it makes it really easy. And again, this is a cold peel. So I'm going to look at some questions while those are cooling down. So someone asked a question, if your press doesn't have a digital pressure readout, how do you know what's what? And the honest truth is you're guessing, but if you have to guess, here would be my best way to recommend. And I know people say do the paper trick in the corner of the presses. That may work for a Hotronix press, but if you have an inexpensive press, it won't work because odds are your platen isn't completely flat, which is a whole nother issue. But what I usually like to say is if you can lock it down with 2 fingers, it's a light pressure. If you need just 1 hand to lock it down, it's a medium pressure. And if you either need 2 hands or, depending on your strength, leverage with 1 hand, that would be a heavy pressure. So somebody's trying to teach math on our live stream for free. So once this is cooled down on YouTube, once this is cooled down, I'm going to peel the backing. Again, with Stretch Litho, it's best to have it flat to peel the backing. And if you run into an area that's having a problem releasing, just grab the other side and go. So you can see completed result, very soft, very easy to do. That's Stretch Litho. Make sure you design with some open space in your design. That just makes it feel a lot better for the person who's wearing it. And Bo says you should also be using the Stalls heat eraser. So you can use the heat eraser. It's basically a dry erase board eraser to pull the heat out of the design right on the press after you press it. You can also just fold up an old scrap piece of fabric like fleece that pulls heat out of things and use that as well to cool down your transfer to release it. So plenty of options and items there. This other one's complete. And our last completed design. So this is making it together. We're going to keep streaming to you, decorating products throughout the coming days. I know Jenna will be going live tomorrow. I want to remind you of a couple things before we conclude, and then I'll make sure I look back at the questions on the different locations and answer those. So the things I want to remind you about is we have our survey. Fill it out. We're going to do our giveaway this Thursday when I broadcast to you live again. Tomorrow I get a little bit of a break, and Jenna will go live at 9 a.m. If you're not part of the Heat Press for Profit Facebook group and you're watching on YouTube or our page, make sure you join. And then last but not least, I completed a survival guide along with our team that talks to you about ideas to navigate your business during that time. And there are some great offers that are inside of that survival guide. Last question I'm going to answer is someone asked is, what is the price for stretch litho? You can get all that pricing on transferexpress.com. The example I showed you, if we would have sold 100 shirts, it would have cost $4.50 for the full sheet. Because I fit 2 designs on the sheet, that makes it $2.25 per transfer. And again, logos don't have to be related, don't have to be social distanced, so you can group as many logos as you can onto one sheet for construction business, landscaping, a school, a cheer and dance team. Doesn't matter. Throw it on the sheet. Just order it in the quantities. So as always, thanks for watching. Hopefully you had some fun today. I know I did. And if you have any questions, feel free to keep asking those in the feed, and we'll make sure we answer them. Thanks so much.